Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Team from N's YouTube page again. It is Andrew the Collector here, back with an update for Dinomorphia. I made a poll on our community page about a week ago, and you guys answered, and here it is. You want an update for Dinomorphia for the current format. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. I did take this to my locals this last weekend, and I obviously didn't win. But I do have some notes that I did want to share with you guys. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to start out obviously with 3 Dinomorphia Thrisia and 3 Diplos. This ratio has not changed at all. It has, it's always going to be the same. They're the only main deck Dinomorphia monsters, and you're going to want to run no less than 3 of them. Thrisia is your setter sets a Dinomorphia trap directly from your deck, and Diplos is your foolish for their trap graveyard effects. And then the next other monsters that we only run are 1 Miscellaneousaurus and 1 Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Miscellaneous obviously for protection, and Tyranno for your plan B of the deck. Now that is it for the monsters. I don't run any hand traps. I don't feel like they're really needed in this deck if you open up the right hand. And off to the spells, I'm running 3 Fossil Dig, 2 Pot of Duality, and 2 Pot of Prosperity. I cut Prosperity down to 2 because I felt like going, nuking your extra deck was a little bit too risky for this deck. And I haven't noticed a difference really with it. I think it's just fine at 2. Duality and Fossil Dig definitely at 3, but I replaced the 1 Prosperity with Triple Tactic Talent because this deck really needed more like going second cards, like Triple Tactics Talent, and I think that it's a really good card overall. And that's it for the spells. Off to the meat of the deck, which is the traps. 3 Dinomorphia Frenzy and 3 Dinomorphia Domain. Like I said, these will never change. You always want to run 3 of these. If you need to make a change, I probably would say cut down on 1 Domain, but you absolutely need to have 3 Frenzy. It's it's a necessity. 3 Dinomorphia Intact. This is for your hand traps. It's a counter. Trap card against monster effects as long as you control a Dinomorphia card. So like I said in my other videos, if you have these 2 face down and you try to activate Frenzy and they try to Ash it, you activate this to negate Ash and your plays can go on from there. 2 Dinomorphia Alert. I changed this to 2 because a lot of the times, more often than you would think, they out my Dinomorphia Rex term, and I need more ways to get it back because there's only so many cards that you confuse with. So this is a good graveyard recursion. And 2 Dinomorphia Sonic, the spell and trap negation. The only difference between this and Intact is that you have to destroy a Dinomorphia monster after the effect resolves. That is the only difference, but it's still really good as long as you have at least 2 Dinomorphia monsters on board, which is not hard at all. Now off to the regular traps. 3 Soul of the Supreme King. I guess this would be the plan B, and Ultimate Conductor would be plan C for the deck. Pay half your life points, special summon Zark from your extra deck, and then if your opponent activates a spell or spell effect, that's very important. You banish this and Zark from your side of the field, and you can special summon a Pendulum Dragon, a Synchro Dragon, an Exceeds Dragon, and a Fusion Dragon from your extra deck. And if you don't know what those are, we'll get to them when we get into the extra deck. 3 Solemn Judgment. It's Judgment, and it works well with the strategy. And obviously 2 Ferret Flames. This card has come in so clutch with me so many times, especially against the Voiceless Voice, because they, as long as you bait out their negations, you can use this and just kill their board. I actually used this against Voiceless Voice this last weekend. I was able to bait out his Ritual Monster's negation, and when he tried to swing it for game, I activated this, shuffled his whole board back into his deck, and then the next turn, I drew into Soul of the Supreme King. I set it, and then, you know, they used spells, and I just obviously continued from there, and I eventually did win that round of the game. So Fair Flames for this deck is an absolute necessity. And 2 Iron Thunder. I cut down Iron Thunder to 2 instead of 3. It's a good negation, but it is a very risky card. The effect is that it's a counter trap, pay half your life points, and to negate a spell, trap, or monster effect on the field. And any card in that card's column is also destroyed. You have to be very careful when you use this card. What I like to do, and you know, I'm kind of giving away my strategy here, but I like to place it in the column as an extra monster zone, and I'll wait until they activate a monster effect in that extra monster zone. So that way I know that as long as I don't place anything in here or in there, I'll always put my Dinomorphia monsters on the other side of the board or in the other extra monster zone, so that way they're forced to use this spot. So that way when the effect goes, then they try to activate their effect, I'll use Iron Thunder to not only destroy their monster, but anything else that they have underneath it, just kind of as extra precaution. But yeah, that's why I cut down Iron Thunder, because I actually did lose a game at one time because I accidentally destroyed one of my cards. I think it was not Rexterm. It was the other fusion monster that I have, which I'll show in a minute. And that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. 3 Rexterm. It's Rexterm. It's your win condition of the deck. As long as your life points are lower than your opponent's monsters' attacks on the field, they can't use their effects. And 3 Dinomorphia. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I believe it's Kentrengina. Her. Yeah. You want to run 3 of each of these, no doubt. And 2 of the Dinomorphia Pterodactyl fusion. I'm terrible with names. Please forgive me. You only run in for fusion material, but I cut him down to 2 because a lot of times when I use Frenzy, if I run out of him, I still have one of her that I can use if I need to, because the goal is to get to Rexterm, hands down. She's just your plan, your backup plan for, beat down to get your opponent's life points down to 0. And that's it for the fusion monsters. And 1 Link Karibo, because Iblock, even in this day and age, I'm still afraid of Iblock. You have to respect it, because a lot of the times, if you don't expect it, it will happen. And then 1 Evilsaur Logia. It's Logia, it's a dinosaur deck. I use this card more often than I thought I would, and I'm glad I put it in. You could put Logia in, depending on what deck that you go up against, or not Logia. Oh god, I'm blanking on the name. The other Evilsaur monster that does monster effects. You could run that one if you want. But I like Logia because I just like the extra protection against spells and traps. Now off to the Supreme King package. 1 Supreme King Zark. This is for the Soul of the Supreme King trap, obviously. This is what you summon off of it, but its effects are negated. And one thing that someone actually brought up to me in the comments of my last video that I didn't know, actually, is that if you have Soul of Supreme King Zark out, you can special summon the Odd Eyes one out from your extra deck by tributing, and it'll stay on the field. Because the thing about Soul of the Supreme King is that after 2 turns, Zark goes back to the extra deck. So if that happens and you're not able to bait out any spell effects from your opponent to use the graveyard effect of the trap, then you basically wasted the card or the potential. But if you have this out by tributing Zark, it'll stay out on the field. So not only do you have a 4K beat stick, but your trap will always be live in the graveyard as long as it's out on the field, because it's always treated as Zark. That was a real eye-opener for me, and now that I knew that, it was very helpful, and it actually won me a game because I was able to stall out a Runic player. Because after they activate a spell or trap card, you banish the Odd Eyes or Zark, and you can special summon out Clear Winged Dragon, Dark Requiem Dragon, and Venom Predaplant Fusion Dragon. My gosh, these nicknames, Konami, I swear. But anyway, the Crystal Clear Wing is the one that you want to go into the most because it is an actual spell trap negation. The other two are just for beat sticks. I decided to switch out for Requiem Exceeds Dragon over the Pendulum Dragon because they both have 3,000 attack, but the Exceeds Dragon has 2,500 defense versus the 2,000 defense the Pendulum Dragon did. So either you can do with either, but as long as you have Crystal Clear Wing in the extra deck, that's all that matters. And that's it for the extra deck. Off to the one that probably had the most change is the side deck. Side decks change more than the main deck most of the time. 2 Soundproofed. This is for Tempe Dragons. Tempe Dragons love going second. And if you activate this at the start of your main phase 1, then you basically save yourself a turn and gain advantage with your traps. And pretty much any other synchro deck that you go up against. Gravekeeper's Inscription for Snake Eyes. And Fire Kings, and Unchained, and any graveyard-reliant deck, which is basically most decks nowadays. Harpy's Feather Duster, because we're back row deck and we hate back row decks. 3-Dimensional Barrier, again for Tempe Dragons and any other deck that, other than Lynx that is very, ritual heavy, like Voiceless Voice, Synchro decks, Exceeds decks, and everything of the like. 3 Evenly Matched. It's evenly matched in case we have to go second. And 2 Lava Golem. Someone commented in my last video saying that they were wondering why I was running Lava Golem if I rely on my normal summon with Thursia. That's not always the case. If you open up the right trap cards, you don't need your normal summon at all. So if you open up Frenzy and Intact at the very least, with Lava Golem in your hand, you're basically set. Because not only can you get rid of 2 interruptions on their board, but you will also set up your next play for Rex Term and have a protection against hand traps. So that in of itself is massive advantage against most decks. And that's why I run Lava Golem. I'm not running Sphere Mode because Sphere Mode is more selective. If Baron and Borreload Savage were still around, I would say probably put in Sphere Mode over Lava Golem just to have guaranteed more. But Lava Golem I feel like is a little bit more versatile, especially if you're going up against something like Voiceless Voice, which most of the time they'll have only 2 monsters out on the field anyway. And then for the 1-ofs, 1 Gozen Match and 1 Anti-Spells. I wish these guys were at more than 1, but here we are. But guys, that is it for the deck profile. Let me know what you want to see next. I'll probably do another poll for the probably in the coming months. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell down below for notifications. And if you want to help keep the channel going, consider joining our membership program. And until then, we'll catch you guys in the next one.